This YCN segment is brought to you by Harris Family Furniture in Plymouth, Laconia, and Chichester.
Welcome back, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide, one final segment, and we move to the Patriots as the NFL Combine happening, the NFL Draft coming up. It'll be here soon. Some news and notes. They cut tight end Dwayne Allen, just a big contract, really just wanted to get rid of that. But I think it sounded like they may be open to bringing him back if he wants to take a lesser deal, which we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what Gronk decides to do.
It's true.
But yeah, with Dwayne Allen, that was expected. I think he was going to be paid, $6.5 million.
Way too much.
Which was way too much for the role he was playing. He was mostly a blocker. I don't even really remember him being on the field that much. I mean, you didn't really even notice him when he was on the field. So, yeah, depending on what Gronkowski does, I think that's definitely an option. You know, if Dwayne Allen is willing to take a $5 million pay cut, something like that. The Pats will, I'm sure they'll bring him back because I think Bill likes him. I think that he liked the role he played last year. But yeah, that was expected. He was just going to be paid way too much, and that money is going to go to somewhere else. Definitely.
And you mentioned Gronk and coming back. He's reportedly been around the facility a lot this year. Obviously, that's a good sign. Last year, he was away from the facility. Obviously, a lot of drama that was going on. But also, maybe he's coming back, because you'd think that if he wasn't, he would have let the Patriots know so they can plan for the draft. So good sign. Where do you rank on the meter of him coming back versus not?
Yeah, so I think if he wasn't coming back, I think he already would have announced it. I think it would have been soon after the Super Bowl. I expect him to come back for one more year. I could see him, if he maybe suffers a bad injury earlier on in the season, he might call it quits, concussion, something like that. He's had a bad back, he's had a ton of surgeries. But for the most part, he had a pretty good season last year. He wasn't as explosive, wasn't as strong or fast, but his hands were still as good as ever. And he made a ton of really good plays down the stretch. His stats weren't as high, but in the playoffs, especially in that Super Bowl, he made a ton of clutch plays against the Chiefs as well. So I hope he comes back. I expect him to come back. I think he already would have announced his retirement if he wasn't. And I'm excited for him to come back.
Yeah, I think he'd let the Patriots know so they could plan. They have 8 draft picks in this upcoming draft, so we'll be talking about that in the coming weeks and see how they might set themselves up for next year.
It's time for the Salt Hill Pub Picks of the Week. Salt Hill Pub, honest food, perfect pints, live music, now here to serve you in 5 locations.
Here we are with our Salt Hill Pub Picks of the Week, and we're going to be picking the National League East Division. Broke that down earlier in the show, so we'll start with that. Who is going to be in the basement in the National League East? That's not really much of a surprise. Who you got, Andrew?
No surprise at all. Miami Marlins are going to finish 5th. They don't really have many star players at all. I know they signed Curtis Granderson. I know they have Starlin Castro at second base, still from the Yankees, but for the most part, they really have no one. Most of their team are going to be minor leaguers, really. They're going to be 5th easily.
And especially playing in a tough division. This division, as we talked about, is pretty tough. I agree with you. Marlins, again, finish in the basement. Who do you have number 4?
Yeah, so I think the Washington Nationals are going to take a big step back this year. I know Max Scherzer, probably the best pitcher in all of baseball, but I think losing Bryce Harper is going to be big for them. I just expect the offense to be a black hole. I know they have some good young players, but they're going to struggle. I think Bryce Harper was more of a leader than they realized. The team's going to take a step back.
All right, my number 4 pick is the Mets. I know they could be in the conversation as a dark horse, but I think they're still a little bit behind the other 3 teams, in my view. Who do you have as number 3?
So I'm going with the Mets for number 3. I think Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom are going to be excellent once again this year, and they made some good trades. They got Robinson Cano. They have Wilson Ramos as catcher. That's going to help them. And Todd Frazier, he's got low average, but he hits a ton of home runs. I think the Mets are going to improve, but they're going to finish 3rd.
All right, my number 3 team, the Braves, obviously winning the division last year. I think they're a little bit ahead of themselves, so they regress a little bit, but they still have a lot of young talent, so they'll be there in the future, but this year they finished number 3. Who you got number 2?
So I'm going with the Braves. I think they're just going to finish 2nd. They could almost finish 1st. I think Fulton Navich, he's a really good pitcher. He's going to lead them, but they're young guys, Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna Jr., and they got Josh Donaldson. That was a really good signing. That offense is going to take a step forward. I expect them to be really good once again.
All right, my number 2 team is the Phillies, and I know they're the big favorites with Bryce Harper, but I have them in the number 2 spot this coming year. Who do you have at number 1?
So I am going with the Phillies. Their starting pitching staff, Aaron Nola and Jake Arrieta, are going to lead that staff. And of course, their big signings, Bryce Harper. I think Rhys Hoskins, a really good first baseman, lots of power. I think that team is going to take a big step forward. Really, I think they won the offseason this year.
They did have a great offseason. Obviously, they still have players they can get, but I'm going to go with the Washington Nationals. Maybe Bryce Harper being off the team is a little bit of a relief. This team has a ton of talent, but really those top 3 teams or 4 teams are probably going to be competing all season. So there are our National League East predictions. Thanks for watching. Check out the website ycnnow.com for all the shows. Thanks for watching.